Typhoon Mawar is still powerful in the Philippine Sea, although it is significantly weaker now. Mawar currently has wind speeds of 105 miles per hour and a pressure of 959 millibars, and is crawling northwest at 3 miles per hour. So it's down to Cat 2, which is good. Here's Mawar's current location at 19.8 degrees north, 125.6 degrees east, about 200 miles northeast of the Philippines. I don't know how much that is in kilometers. Here is our forecast. See, it is very slow right now, and we expect that it will turn extratropical in about 2 to 2.5 days. Although it is, it's no longer a major typhoon, which is good. Here is the current wind field. It's still a very large wind field. You see tropical storm force winds are barely grazing that little part of the Philippines that's sticking up right there. Right there, they're barely touching the Philippines. But they are touching the Philippines, which is not good news. But it's still a very large storm. But the maximum wind speeds, that being the Category 2 force winds, are not very large, which is good. That means that, Taiwan probably will get tropical storm force winds, even if it follows our forecast track. Taiwan probably will get tropical storm force winds just because the thing is so freaking big. And here is the intensity estimates from the different agencies. We are going along with the JTWC right now, which is 105 miles per hour. Force 13 slightly higher at 110. JMA and Pagasa behind a little bit. They're both going with 100. And then GFS is back at Category 1 with winds of 90 miles per hour. We're going to move on to the GFS now, speaking of that. Here we are in the GFS. Mawar, quite visible there. GFS is not currently going with 949. They're going like 970 or something right now. Which is very strange, because most agencies are in the 950s right now. Anyway, so their forecast track is... They have it going straight north and then turning to the east, which is slightly different. You can actually see right there, that's another tropical cyclone. It does look like it gets up to Cat 1, and then there's what remains of there's Mawar right there. You can still trace it all the way up there in Alaska, which is, and that's June 12th that it eventually dissipates as an extratropical cyclone. That would be a near record for total length. The current record is Cyclone Freddy. That happened about 3 months ago. But that would be... When did Mawar form again? Let me check when Mawar formed real quick. Mawar formed on May 16th, so that would be 27 days. And that's a lot, but you gotta recognize that that's still 10 days behind the current record. The satellite imagery, Mawar is just a disheveled mess at this point. It had a eye feature right here. Although the entire northwestern eye wall has just been obliterated. Well, the entire northwestern eye wall was obliterated to pieces. And then now it's the entire northeastern eye wall and part of the entire northern eye wall and part of the southern eye wall is just it's been removed from the coating of the earth. It's been removed from the coating system. But so Mawar on this frame right here, I believe, was still a Category 3. I think right here was when they dropped it down to Category 2. And then, Mawar's just getting weaker and weaker at this point. You can see just how large its influence is, too. And also how slowly it's moving. I mean, we track that right there. That's where its eye is at the beginning. And its eye is where that tiny little, it's right there, I think. So, and that's within the last 12 hours. It's moved that far in the last 12 hours. which, you know, that might seem like it might be a decent range. That's probably only about 20 miles. 15, 20 miles in 12 hours, if that tells you how slowly Mawar is moving. At this rate, I think Mawar, the 100-mile travel rate, at this point, for it to travel 100 miles, at this rate is 33 hours. So, almost a day and a half for it to travel 100 miles. And your average tropical cyclone travels 100 miles in about 6 or 7 hours. And this at the rate it's going right now, it's only slowing down too. It's only getting slower. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets down to half a mile an hour. That's how slow Batsarai in 2022 got at one point. I think it got down to like 0.5 miles per hour at one point. I wouldn't be surprised if Mawar gets that slow, and then at that rate, that's 100, 200 hours. And again, the average for most of them to travel 100 miles is 6 to 7 hours. The average movement speed for a tropical cyclone, I think, is 16 miles per hour. So you do 100 divided by 16. So most storms, generally, it's only about 6 and a quarter of a day. So 6 days and 6 hours. That's the normal time. Mawar it's exceptional in everything. Strength, not right now, I'm talking about at its peak. Strength, appearance at peak intensity, just how difficult it's been to track in the first place. Not track, how difficult it's been for them to nail the intensity. For the actual track forecast, they've had that pretty good. They've been, getting that done pretty well. But as explained in the update that I put out 12 a.m. this morning, they cannot nail the intensity. I'm going to explain it again. At first, when it first formed, they were expecting a Cat 2. Then as it got stronger, that went up. And then, when it was a Cat 3, they were expecting, low-end Cat 4, maybe mid-range. And then it shot up to 175 miles an hour the next morning. And then it weakened to 130 when it passed by Guam. They were like, okay, it might get back up to like 150, 155. And then it shot up to 185 in 12 hours. Then, they were like, okay, so weakening is going to be pretty slow. Weakening. I don't want to explain what the weakening was like. It was very difficult. And, that's usually how storms are at this time of year. They're difficult to nail the intensity. Because, at this time of year, Western Pacific, it's tropical storm or it's category 10 billion. That's how it is for the Western Pacific at this time of year. They're either weak or they're extremely strong. Mawar was on the extremely strong side. The last storm I can think of that was around this time period that was as strong was probably Surigay, and Surigay was in April. Before that, I think it might have been... What was it? I'm trying to remember its name. Was it? I can't remember its name. Starts with an M, I know that. It's not Malor, I can tell you that. What is it? Anyway, it'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, but, at this time of the year, Western Pacific, it's 40 miles an hour, or it's 87,000 miles per hour. The last time a storm, not even of this magnitude, at Category 5 at this time of year, around this time of year, was Surigay in 2021. But in terms of total strength, this thing was stronger than Surigay, meaning this thing was the strongest since Goni in 2020. Quite frankly, I don't think Goni is getting beat for a while. That explained last night. Our estimate is 200 miles an hour, 875 millibars. So I don't think that's getting beat for a while. Also consider the fact that Goni made landfall at that intensity is impressive too. I still can't remember that typhoon's name, by the way. What was it? I'm trying to remember what it was. I'm getting sidetracked with this other storm trying to figure out what it was. It wasn't Malor, I know that. I don't remember the exact year it was. Anyway, but this thing is what was very strong. But, you know, this, for the third time, Western Pacific, this time of year, they're extremely weak or they're extremely strong. Usually it's the first one. This time it's the second one. And also the fact that we might get another tropical cyclone next week is what GFS is predicting. That's pretty terrifying too. Now obviously waters are going to be much colder through where Mawar tracked, because, you know, storm doesn't go from 130 to 185 that fast without, you know, decreasing the water temperature. And actually, when it did do that, it decreased the water temperatures from about 32 degrees Celsius to about 29. And, you know, still though, the warmest spot in the Western Pacific right now, at this point, is just off Luzon. You know, I'm trying to think of it. It's near Tuguegarao. To anyone in the Philippines, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I think it's pronounced Tuguegarao or Garo. And the waters just off there are about 31 degrees Celsius. Right now, Mawar is just sucking up water all around it, is what's happening, basically. But yeah, the South China Sea is warming up too, and I mean, you know, water temperatures ahead of Mawar are still like 29 degrees Celsius. And then when it turns extratropical, obviously, I mean, even up where it turns extratropical, the ocean temperatures are still like 27 degrees Celsius, which is 80 degrees Fahrenheit, basically. So that shows you the Western Pacific is warming up. So I'm assuming most of you guys know how far north Japan is. Near Japan, the ocean temperatures just off Japan still are 27 degrees Fahrenheit. Not Fahrenheit. Celsius, not Fahrenheit. 27 degrees Celsius, which is about 78 degrees. No, it's about 80. But, so that shows you what El Nino can do. Also, China is literally boiling right now. The temperature in China right now is 105 degrees. That's the warmest temperature in China. China is boiling right now. I mean, like, even when you look at the Eastern Pacific, too, I mean, Eastern Pacific is warm, too. I mean, usually at this time of year, they're about 27, 28 degrees Celsius, maybe. They're 31 right now. Then the Atlantic also, the warmest is just off Cuba, that's 31. So, yeah. Anyway, this video is getting extremely long. I will try and figure out what that typhoon is. Anyway, like, subscribe, goodbye.